Okay, let's talk more about this. And for that, we're going to bring in Maribel Lopez. She's the founder and principal analyst of Lopez Research. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Sean.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me this is going to shape up to be a pretty big showdown, considering where AI is heading, how popular it is, and the White House under Trump has, as we said, made it perfectly clear. Adherence to copyright laws is, quote, not doable when it comes to AI. And he wants the U.S. to fast track this because so much AI integration is coming, and it's coming quickly.
Yeah, what we're seeing right now is there's definitely, as you mentioned, a showdown between the creators and the AI companies. And really it comes down to the fact that the copyright law we have today with fair use is not really relevant in an AI generation. So there's a couple of tenets that we look at. What's the purpose? What's the nature? Is it creative or factual? How much of the protected copywritten content is used? And what's the effect on the market? And depending on which of these things you have, there could arguably be different answers. If you are Disney and somebody is fully copying Darth Vader, that is a creative work. It has impact on your monetary status and what you can do with licensing. So you can see how there needs to be a discussion of, is that fair use or not?
Yeah.
And so far it's come down to no.
Picking up on that, because I read that one potentially stumbling block that's out there for those who want copyright protections is that AI-generated items, and this is the term, without significant human creative input, are not subject to copyright measures. So who actually owns what an AI generates, especially if it can be argued that it was trained on someone else's intellectual property?
So one of the reasons why AI companies can still do this at all is because they're claiming that it's not looking at a specific work per se. It's looking at a bunch of different works, it's creating patterns, and it can come up with, say, Vikings or trees or what have you based on the fact that it's looked at millions and millions of images. It can come up with full works of literary art based on the fact that it's read many books. Now, one could argue that yes, those are patterns that are created generically, but if you were, say, J.K. Rowling or Mo Yan, like those are really specific literary patterns that should be considered a creative work that is copywritten. But because it is not fully created by a human, because it is theoretically pattern based, that's the issue.
Interesting. Okay, let's also talk about the current landscape, because Trump has made it clear he wants the U.S. to be the world leader, and China certainly is doing extremely well in its AI work as well. So let's talk about the landscape, AI and proprietary content, and it seems like this is going to be such a challenging space to regulate.
It is a challenging space to regulate. Now, I think everybody's hoping for, when the U.S. copyright was discussing whether or not they wanted to have a wait and see approach to this before the Trump discussion. I think what they're waiting for is for the content creators and the AI companies to come to an understanding of what it meant from who would pay what for what type of work. And we have yet to come to that, although we are starting to see in some cases that the content is being licensed and it can be used in AI models. So the question is, can you even unwind it if you wanted to? And I think the answer is no, because it's very difficult to figure out what data was used to train models. You'd have to go very deep into them, and nobody really has the software to do that or the desire to do it right now. So really what we're trying to push for is a slightly less regulated environment and more of a commercial relationship environment. And those will work for the large companies. What you have to wonder about is, what about the smaller companies? What do they do in this landscape? Will their IP just be taken? And there's a good chance that the answer to that is in fact yes.
And to pick up on what you're talking about, there are plenty of lawsuits that are currently out there from authors, artists, coders who claim AI firms are basically stealing or infringing on their IP. So what does this mean for the future? Is there going to be a time when, yes, these people have to be compensated, or is it going to be like the president wants, let's just plow through and be the world leader?
I think we'll come to a middle ground where there is some level of compensation. I don't think that compensation will be delivered to all companies equally, but I do think larger companies that can demonstrate that they have specific IP that is being copied. There will be software that is created to pick up on these. We already have digital watermarking and other software today. You can imagine that we'll be moving farther into someone like Disney being able to pick up very quickly on if somebody's using their content, just the way they do if they're on YouTube and people are, creating video works on YouTube that are copywritten. So I think we'll see something that is a bit in the middle, Sean, but it's going to be very difficult to regulate. Having said that, we need a full-on new set of regulatory standards for AI and copyright protection moving forward.
It's like you can see my notes. My next question. Is there going to be legislation out there? Because somebody's going to want to jump on this bandwagon and take care of the creative arm of all of this.
There are plenty of bodies that are pulling together smaller creators and are actually proposing different types of legislation. So I definitely think that will happen. One of the biggest challenges right now is getting over this issue. Is it a pattern? Is it a human? Do we have to add in that an AI model will now have these set of rights versus an individual having these sets of rights? So I think that there's actually a lot of work to be done in this space, and definitely an economic incentive to get it done on both behalf of the model companies, which know they're not going to get a free ride forever,
Yeah.
and the actual creators, which know that they're going to get some monetization out of this. But how does this look like? Does it look like Spotify, where every time you play a song, there's, like a few pennies here, or is it going to be something a bit more significant than that?